Hi, my name is TJ Tillman, and if you own an annuity or you're thinking about buying one, then I created this video just for you. So stick around for the next 5 to 10 minutes because you're going to learn some very powerful things that have the chance to drastically affect your retirement. And it starts with a very powerful question you need to ask yourself. Can you afford to take the chance of your plan failing? Can you afford to have your decision be the wrong one when your lifestyle, your family, and your future all depend on it? I believe that you can't, and it's why I'm so passionate about helping you dive into your plan and shake the tree, so to speak, and see what's really going on, and if you have the right tools for the job, especially when it comes to annuities, because there's a lot of bad information out there about them. So let's dive in and cover the truth about annuities, the good, the bad, and the fine print. Now, before I get to annuities, and I will cover them in detail, I want to start with a simple exercise. I want you to close your eyes for a second and look back on your life and think about the best times you've ever had. Now seriously, do this. I'll give you a second. Okay, if you're like most people, you'll focus on experiences. You'll remember fun with family, traveling, children being born, or the life-changing experiences you had with the love of your life. Now do this. Imagine all your hardest times. That's a tough question, right? And when I ask people this, most will tell me they think about one of two things. Either struggles with sickness or struggles with money. And that's why I got into this industry, because of the importance of these questions. My name is TJ Tillman, and I'm a fiduciary financial advisor. I'm on a mission to give people unbiased advice and guidance because too many times I've seen people end up getting hurt in retirement because they never had all the information or they received bad information. As an example, I was meeting with a new prospective client about a year and a half ago, and within the first 15 minutes of our first meeting, we identified that he and his wife were overpaying on unnecessary fees by almost $17,000 a year. And they had been for years before they even met with me. $17,000! That was money that could have been going into their pockets for decades. And it was money that could have severely limited their retirement income or put their entire plan at risk. Money they could have given to their grandkids for college savings or donated to charity. And like I said before, these fees were totally unnecessary. They just didn't even realize they were paying them. It's situations like these that continually fuel my desire to approach financial planning differently and make sure that you get the information you really need. It's not about me. It's not about the big investment companies. It's about you. So let's start with a simple lesson that every retiree has to understand and plan for if you're looking at annuities or hoping to gain confidence in retirement. I'm talking about sequence of returns versus a simple rate of return. Now, if you had a $100,000 portfolio and it lost 50%, how much would you need to earn to get all your money back? Now, immediately you'd probably say 50%, right? You go down 50%, you go back up 50%, now you're back to even. Unfortunately, that's not correct. If you lost 50%, you'd actually need to gain 100% to earn back the same amount of money that you lost. You see, I hear story after story of people who had 20, 40, or 50% portfolio losses between 2007 and 2009. And their advisor told them just, hang in there. And that's not necessarily bad advice for long-term investors, but if you need to use your money for retirement income now, you can't afford to take losses like that. And the problem was for many of these investors, they were taking on way more risk than what they were comfortable with, and they had no idea. If your plan for a downturn isn't correctly in place beforehand, you're going to do more harm than good by trying to adjust it during a down market. You see, the thing we're not focusing on is sequence of returns, and instead we're told that the market has averaged 10% or more over time. Well, focusing on averages can be a very dangerous game, and let me explain why. If you made 25% in year 1, 25% in year 2, but in year 3 you lost 40%, how did you fare? Well, if you average out the returns, let's see, 25 plus 25 minus 40 is 10. Divide that by 3, so you averaged 3.33%. But how did your portfolio really end up? Okay, you went from 100,000 to 125,000 in year 1, then 125,000 to a little over 156,000 in year 2, and then after losing 40% in year 3, you end up with 93,750, less than what you started with. And that's an actual return of negative 6.25%. You see, this is what sequence of return risk represents. It's not about the average, it's about what you really made. And when you're relying on your money for income, can you really afford to take that kind of risk with your future? This is one of the big reasons why people buy annuities. Annuities are all about providing some type of safety to your investment portfolio. But what I've found is that many people are taking unnecessary risk when buying annuities, because some carry a significant amount of risk, specifically one kind that many people truly don't understand. Now let me break this down. Annuities fall into two main categories, at risk and safe. These 4 types of annuities can either be placed on one side or the other, and you may be surprised to see that variable annuities are on the left side. Now, why is that? Variable annuities are by far one of the least understood contracts out there. Essentially, you invest into sub-accounts, which are really just mutual funds wrapped inside of a life insurance product. Now, does that sound safe to you? Because the whole story behind variable annuities is simple. The broker, who happens, to also get a hefty commission from selling these, will tell you that you can have your cake and eat it too. You can invest in the market and have guaranteed growth or income tied to your investments, so you don't have to worry. But this is where it can get confusing. This guarantee isn't really on your money at all. When you look at your statement, you'll most likely see the actual value and then another value called the income value, or as we like to call it, funny money. Your guarantee is only tied to the income value, not your actual money. But if you're like most people, you didn't just want a guaranteed income, you bought a guarantee so that you didn't lose any money. When your account hits zero and you can't get access to it, is that what you really intended to do? Now that's why variable annuities can be dangerous when used incorrectly and not properly explained or understood. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even covered the fees and contract costs that make earning any real returns extremely difficult. Because what brokers will tell you, you can get access to market gains without all the risk. But is that true? The average variable annuity has a fee structure of 3.61% annually on average, and I've seen them go much higher. So if the market ever does hit a poor run, what'll happen when you're taking 4 to 7% of your money off the portfolio in income, and it has fees of 3.61% on average, and potential trading costs that aren't disclosed? And remember the first example, if you lost 50% of the market, normally you'd have to earn back 100% to break even. But now add in the 4 to 7% withdrawals, now add in the annuity fees of 4 to 5%, and then inflation, and then income taxes, lump sum withdrawals for emergencies. Do you think your real value can keep up? To send my point home, let's look at the research. Recently, Wade Pfau, who is widely respected in the financial planning world, found that taking just a 4% withdrawal off of a 50% stock and 50% fixed asset, like balanced portfolio, has a chance to fail between 18 and 32% of the time. And that's not even including fees. And knowing that, do you really think 8, 9, or 11% in fees and withdrawals combined is going to keep your money intact? If you truly wanted safety, then doesn't it make more sense to work with a value that's guaranteed? See, that's the problem with variable annuities. Now let me ask you this. Did you know that insurance and investment companies have accounts where they will protect your principal in writing? That's what fixed annuities do. Now what I'm going to do is go online real quick here and look up a couple reports from the Securities and Exchange Commission, otherwise known as the SEC. They're basically the watchdog of the investment world. And we're going to look at the risk of annuities according to them. So follow along with me. See, this one is the first. It's a report by the SEC on variable annuities. Now, what I want you to do is count along with me and see how many caution boxes there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 caution boxes. All right, now the second report is about fixed annuities. Let's see here. 0. 0 caution boxes on this type of product from the Securities and Exchange Commission for fixed index annuities. Now, why the disconnect? Well, because fixed annuities are a guaranteed product, and they're contractually set up so you cannot lose your principal to market losses. Now, I'm not saying that you need one or that it's right for you, but I want to make sure that you're aware of what's really safe and what's really not, if absolute safety of principal is really what you're going for. Now, it's the same thing for immediate annuities. They can be set up to give you payments for life or an indefinite period, a defined period that you choose. So you have in writing the exact terms of that annuity and the fact that it has a written guarantee if you follow the terms of the contract, without all the potential hidden risks of the variable kind. Now remember the scary part of the sequence of return risk. It's not just the return that matters, it's how much you keep in the end. So as you look at this graph, which one of these makes more sense to you for your safe money? Now, being in an account that earns steady interest, or one that's exposed to the crazy ride of the market and incredibly high fees? And this is just the beginning, right? We're mostly talking about your safe money, not the entire picture. But it really frames out the question in a bigger way. What kinds of money should you hold, and how is your strategy going to work? And to help you clarify this, I have 3 questions. And if you want to succeed in retirement, then you need to be able to answer these questions with absolute clarity. Number 1, is the current annuity you own right for you? Do you know if you're taking on too much risk? Do you know the fees? Do you know the kind of annuity you're in and how it actually works? Or are you worried that you may have bought into some overhyped promises or a contract that now sounds a little too good to be true? Now, question 2, How much risk can you afford to take? When you look at your life and your investments, how much risk can you afford to take? What would happen if your retirement plan failed? What would happen if you weren't able to do the things you wanted and dreamed about doing? Can you honestly say that you've truly thought about this question and know that your investments are set up according to how much risk you can actually afford to take? And finally, how much risk are you willing to take? Now, if you can't stand the thought of your retirement plan failing, why would you ever take more risk than you were willing to handle? If you have any inclination that your risk exposure isn't where it needs to be, then it's time to make sure your plan is the right plan. And that's why I offer strategy sessions to people who want to go through a simple but powerful 3-step process to figure this all out. The first step is using a simple but powerful tool to figure out your real risk tolerance and going over your situation with a fine-tooth comb to find out how much risk you actually can afford to take. Second, we'll stress test your portfolio in a multitude of ways so you can see what you're up against and what could happen in a downturn and how your portfolio would have reacted in previous downturns. Because if you can go low risk and still have a great retirement, why would you take any undue risk that could have been avoided? And third, we use our annuity x-ray process for those who have annuities or are thinking of buying one. That way you can see what you actually own or if an annuity is even right to begin with. And we do this all for free. Now, this is not what you might be thinking, okay? You can take the plan we give you for free and do whatever you like with it. Work with someone else or implement it on your own. But we do this for a simple reason, because you might want our help in implementing these strategies. But either way, you'll have to plan for facing retirement absolutely free. We'll give that to you. Doing this for people is our way of showing that we know our stuff. We call it value in advance, and it's what my practice is all about. Because I believe that after you see your situation in a new light, and in a way that other advisors weren't able to show you, that you may want my help implementing some of the ideas I may have for you, so you can gain confidence without trying to learn it all on your own. I'm sure you're wondering what the catch is. Now, before you request a meeting with us, there are a few nuances that I should let you know about. The first being that we don't do this for everybody. We're rather picky about who we choose to work with. Now, the reason for that is because when I started in the industry, I was assigned over 1,000 clients to work with. And it's impossible to work with that many people and provide the highest value to your clients. So we choose to work with a smaller group of people that we can provide the absolute highest value to. As a result of that, there are some qualifications that you'll need to meet. The biggest being that you have to have a portfolio size or net worth to actually need this kind of planning. So if you don't have an investment portfolio of at least $250,000 in total, or have a few different annuities you need clarity on, then this probably isn't going to be a good fit for you. And it's incredibly important for me to like the people I work with. And it should be for you too. See, if either one of us feels that we aren't a good fit after our first call, there won't be any hard feelings. We can go our separate ways, and I can always recommend another advisor that may be a better fit for you. So if you're ready to go through our 3-step process, then it's time to book a call with my team. And just know that if you do partner with me, I don't use high-fee products, I don't call in sick, and I never leave you hanging by not being there for you when it really counts and something in your life happens. But right now we're talking about our 3-step process. Here's how it works. To get started, all you have to do is hit the button below. A page will come up for you to book a meeting directly into my calendar. Once that's booked, I'll send you to a survey page that will help us see if this makes sense for your situation. After the survey is filled out and you book your time, we'll get on a call with you and we'll talk about your vision, your plans, your dreams, and really dive deep into what you're trying to accomplish and take you through our 3-step process. So if you'd like to get on an initial phone call with me, then click the button below to get started. Thanks again for watching.